I think it's time to talk to Paddy.
Let's talk to Paddy. Paddy, how are you doing? Were you expecting this to be so weird?
Yes, I was.
Good, good. That is very good.
I told Paddy the
If it wasn't so weird, I'd be disappointed.
There we go. I'm glad that we can keep you entertained. What can I say? So Paddy has actually seen the streams before, so he knows that it was going to be exactly like this, with craziness and nonsense. So I'm glad. I feel like he's at home. He told me before, I'm a bit of a talker, is that okay? And I was like, welcome to the family. We're all going to be fine. So let me introduce Paddy very quickly. He has the best biography I've ever read. Okay, so I have to read this. Paddy Finn was born with a blaster in one hand and a wand in the other. It was a difficult delivery.
I can imagine your poor mother.
Pointy, I should say. So, Paddy grew up in West Belfast during the Troubles in Northern Ireland and currently lives with his family of 7, which includes 3 chihuahuas. That's how I imagine they sound. I just wanted to bring them into the conversation.
That is how they sound, yeah.
Oh. Maybe I shall change career and become a chihuahua impressionist. It's so impressionist.
I don't think there is a lot of money in that career, but I don't know what.
It's my passion! Don't kill my dream! Okay, this is derailed very quickly. Paddy has been publishing science fiction under the pen name of Killian Carter, for he is sneaky and has many pen names, since 2016. Well, he started working as a full-time author in 2018. Congratulations, that is a big step and an awesome one.
Thank you.
Paddy is the creator of the Galactic Sentinel series and the co-creator of the Galactic Knight series. That is awesome.
That's nice.
And I'm pretty sure that, yes, I see pink selection in my document, which means that is all your links and stuff I'm going to throw into the chat right now, which is amazing. Thank you, secondhand. I just said my word, so I'm going to do one of these. Cheers.
Cheers.
I need a drink too.
Oh,
Cheers,
yeah.
bud.
Don't we all? So it's been that kind of a week. Paddy, tell us about yourself. How did you start writing and world building?
I guess I started the same way most people do. And a lot of people have a very similar story, and that is that they've always enjoyed writing when they were children. They've always enjoyed world building and reading stories, whether that be science fiction, fantasy, or whatever. And in my sort of early teens, I remember being at school and our English teacher assigned us a project where we had to do a bit of creative writing, and it was on any subject that we wanted. And it was all, every other project beforehand was always very specific. It was something that the curriculum wanted you to write about. But this time it was like freedom. I could do whatever I want. And of course, I went and wrote a fantasy story. Woohoo! And it kind of started to. It sort of turned into a bit of a book later on, and then life took off, and all the writing stuff and creativity took a back seat. I got into IT, and I was an IT consultant for the guts of a decade, and then I don't know why I got back into writing again, but I did back in 2016. I entered a few competitions, didn't really get anywhere with those. I wrote a few short stories. And I heard about the self-publishing thing and heard it was good and people were doing well with it, and I decided to give it a go.
Very cool. So how's it been self-publishing? Have you done any traditional publishing, or you've done all self-publishing?
All of my paperbacks and ebooks are self-published, and my audiobooks are being done by Podium Publishing. So I don't know, they'll be out in sometime in the summer, I'm not sure when. But it doesn't really traditional publishing is great for the people who want to go down that route, but it wasn't really going to work for me because I wanted to make a full-time living out of publishing my work, and the easiest way that I could see to do that was to self-publish, because I get higher royalties than I would do if I went with traditional publishing. there's a lot of extra work involved when it comes to marketing and business stuff and accounts and all the stuff that goes along with running a business. So there is that aspect, but it also allowed me to have my own freedom and do my own thing. So self-publishing isn't for everybody. If you're willing to put in all that extra work in running a business and learn marketing and learn all those other bits and pieces, then, great, because it does give you that freedom and you can make a very nice living from it if you do it properly. But if you're more sort of inclined to just write and you just want to write good stories and you want someone else to deal with all those other things, then traditional publishing is probably better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in January, I interviewed a writer called Sarah Painter. She runs the Worried Writer podcast. She's really lovely. She's published traditionally and self-published. And she told me that self-publishing was way preferable to her because you got so much control over the final product. That wasn't, they weren't saying you had to do this, you had to do that, you had to take out that character's name or change the story. You could just publish what you wanted to publish.
Yeah, every decision is in your hands. You can pretty much do whatever you want. That's a good thing and a bad thing because you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And, traditional publishing is very well established. They know what to do. They're experts in what they do. There are gatekeepers, but that does serve a purpose in that, it ensures that good quality stories only get through the door. Maybe sometimes they're a little bit too strict when it comes to certain decisions. If it goes through an editor, then the editor gets to change a bunch of things. Sometimes the author doesn't get a say in that. The book cover as well. A book cover is like the most important thing. One of the most important things in terms of marketing. It's one of the top three things anyway. And, sometimes people fall, traditional publishing don't always do a great job and neither does self-publish. I think a long time in the early days of self-publishing, the covers were absolutely horrible. And I know a lot of the stories weren't great either. And that there's still an element of that, but things have improved drastically since, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely an art that's growing as the internet grows and as the power of the internet grows.
And there are a lot of artists that, in fact, specialize now in doing exactly that. Yeah. I know of people that effectively they came there from design or illustration background or married the two, and now do exactly that. They do graphics and illustrations for covers for fantasy or any other type of essentially publishing.
Yeah, totally. I'm just going to jump in here and say, guys, if you want to ask any questions from Paddy, you can do that by writing capital letters question and then your question in the chat, and our production fairies will see that and they will get that to us. So just to keep that in mind, because I didn't say it at the beginning, that's the way to ask questions, and he's a fascinating man. Want to ask him lots of questions. My next question is, how does World Anvil fit in? Like, how does that help the self-publishing? How does it help the writing?
Well, I don't mean to sound like I'm kissing ass, but World Anvil is awesome. And I don't know how I lived without it for so long. It's a funny story. I was looking for something along the lines of World Anvil a couple of years ago. Maybe it was earlier in 2018. And someone had actually mentioned World Anvil and they'd recommended it. And I don't know why I didn't look at it at the time, but I really wish I had. I went with another product which didn't. It sort of wasn't. It wasn't as involved with the world building side, but it did have an element which was really helpful. That's what I was looking for. Was mainly something that I could, a wiki type solution, because when you get on to your third novel in a series and you're trying to remember what was that character's name again, or what was the name of that gun, or that planet or starship, or whatever it is, something you only mentioned once or twice and you need to find out what it was again, you could spend all day flicking through books to try and figure out where it is, or you could just type something in and it pops up like that on a wiki. And that solution worked for a while, but I ended up moving away from that toward the end of last year, so it was the end of 2018, and I've just been building again on World Anvil ever since, and I've never looked back, to be honest. In fact, I was going through my first two novels in the Galactic Sentinel series over the last month, and I was just going over it because before you set up your audiobooks, Amazon has something called Whisper Sync. So people who buy audiobooks or ebooks would probably be familiar with it. And that is, if you buy an ebook, sometimes a little message pops up saying, would you also like to buy the audiobook for, $7.99, and it's normally $29.99 or something. So if you want to use that part of Amazon's feature, you need to have the audio and the text needs to be, almost the same. I think there's like a 5% tolerance or something like that. So you can't have too much of a difference because people like to read along with the audio. So they'll get confused if they're reading with and the audio is different or whatever. So I was going through just to make sure, I was happy with everything because I can't change it anymore after that. That's one of the great things about self-publishing. You can change the little bits here and there if you need to. If you do your audio, you're restricted again. So I wanted to make sure I had everything down. And as I was doing that, I just thought this is a great opportunity to kind of like get all of my Galactic Sentinel stuff on the World Anvil as well, because I'd started building up 2 other worlds on it last year, and a lot of my stuff was lost on the other product. So I kind of like thought, whatever, I've lost it, chalk it off to a loss and a lesson learned. But I just thought it'd be great just to, as I'm going through it, to pick out the bits that I know I'm going to have to come back on again and put them in, and then I kind of like went down the rabbit hole. And I have like hundreds of articles on this series, and I know it is going to be very helpful because I'm finishing book 3 next week, and I'm planning on releasing book 4 in the next 2 months. So while I'm working on those, there are going to be a lot of things popping up where, what is that character's name again? So
I don't know if you know the story about why World Anvil was made in the first place.
I don't actually know.
So I was trying to write a fantasy novel.
Okay.
But my genre of choice is epic fantasy. Mm-hmm. So you don't need a story bible, you need a story wiki. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
I know Brandon Sanderson uses it like that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of creative. I know a lot of fantasy writers are using it exactly like that, where there's so many characters, there's so many locations. You're writing in a whole world.
Yeah.
And you just need something to keep track of that. And I would write my notes on the back of sheet music. So on the back of opera arias, I'd have notes about the races that I wanted to create. And on like a scrap journal somewhere, I would have something else. And then I had this Google document that was 107 pages long, and I could find nothing in it.
Wait a minute, I have to say, she couldn't find anything in it because at some point, of course, searching the document took about 5 minutes just to load anything.
Yeah, I mean, just all your characters and the backstory and the world building takes up a book in itself, So
exactly. And I got to this point where I couldn't do it, and I went to Demetrius and I was like, look, I'm trying to write this thing. Maybe I've been too adventurous trying to write something so big as my first book, but I can't do it. Demetrius was like, I will make you a thing. And that thing was World Anvil. That's what he made. And he made it for me and his best buddy who plays RPGs and never keeps his notes straight. And we've never looked back. Yeah. So that's exactly what World Anvil was made for, was a story bible.
You'll be very happy actually to know that one of the things that we'll be doing later this year is going to be the advanced search for guild members, which will allow you to search in text for excerpts as well. So you have essentially characters that you don't remember the name, but you remember more or less essentially their affiliation. If it's in the excerpt, it will be very, very, very quick to search. Actually, now it will become super fast.
That'd be really cool, yeah. Because I had the same problem when I first started. Like I said, the story I did at school sort of grew into a bit of a fantasy. It was an epic fantasy series I was kind of going for, and one of the main reasons I stopped writing back then in my teens was because of that very reason. I had all these notebooks and pages and everywhere and in different boxes under my bed and my cupboard on my shelf, and and it's like it's just everywhere, and I think that became a bit of it felt overwhelming. And it became a bit of a roadblock to writing.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think that can help them with world building anyway if you're not careful, regardless of what way you're organizing it. It can be, you can get so absorbed in the world building when you should, maybe just start writing some as well, and then.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's something we are discussing a lot with Janet as well.
Yeah.
Our approach is always write what you need to write on your world building. Not you're not aiming to, if you're not writing for world building sake or for writing a setting, for example, for your campaign, you shouldn't write more than you need. If it's for a book, write your notes, make sure that you have them there, but expand only when it's needed, or if you're gonna necessarily grow or something like that.
Yeah, I agree completely, because the co-authoring project I'm doing, which will be releasing in August or September, that's another great thing, by the way, about World Anvil, is co-authoring. So myself and another author called Brandon Ellis, we're writing a series together.
Awesome.
And just the first thing we did was we jumped on World Anvil, we wrote down a bunch of ideas, we kind of looked at our plot, and we thought, well, we'll do a bit of world building first. That's not what we would normally do, but we got a bit of a skeleton going. And then we did get to that point where we said, okay, yeah, we could be doing this forever. So let's do some writing now. But it's great because now we can share all of our notes, and it's at our fingertips, and he doesn't have to ask me questions, and we're not going back and forth all the time because it's all in one place. Fantastic.
Yeah, again, when we realized how people were using it, the first thing we were like, well, we need co-authors, because this kind of collaboration is so amazing. We're actually working on a writer's update after, I don't know when, sometime this year.
It is the update right after, so Project Edge will come out, there is something else coming out of that, and then it's the writer's update.
So we'll be working on a writer's update with Chris Fox, putting together some more tools for writers within World Anvil, making sure that it's serving writers' needs better. Because we did a big push on the RPG side. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely usable as a writer's tool. I use it all the time. But we'll be doing more stuff on the writer's side soon.
Yeah, it will be focused on both serial writing, but also into providing tool sets for writers in World Anvil. So we'll definitely be approaching you and talking to you about that as well, because we want to make sure that as a writer you have the tools that you need to actually do what you need to do. That's not even a question.
Yeah, that sounds really good. As it's perfect for world building, but if it had that additional feature where you could actually write in it, or you mentioned serializing things as well. That's something I've been thinking about.
They're definitely coming. Yeah, that's not even a question.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. So, of course, my next question is, do you have any advice for people who want to do what you're doing? So that is, A, managing to finish books, because most writers are writers who have never finished anything, and B, the whole self-publishing art.
Yeah, that's a big question.
It is a honking great big question, sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. It's a very good question. I'm glad you brought the writing bit up, or the finishing books. How many people start something and never finish it? I do it all the time. And I think everyone wants to write a book, don't they? Most people I know anyway would love to write a book, and everyone has a book in them. It's just a matter of trying to encourage them to get it out. And if you told me 3 or 4 years ago that I would have a number of novels under my belt in 2019, I would laugh in your face. But so even if you think right now that you could never finish a book, you can finish a book, because if I can finish a book, anyone can finish a book. And it's all about, it's like everything else. If you start it a little bit at a time, if you're building a house, you don't just throw a house down. You build it one brick at a time, and then eventually you have a house. And it is those tiny iterations. I know one author who he makes sure he writes something every single day, even if it's 50 or 100 words, which is very little. It's like a paragraph or two. But he makes sure he does it every day. And he writes a couple of novels a year doing that, So you don't need to do a lot. You just need to be consistent, persistent. You need to have some discipline. I'm sounds like I'm preaching here. I struggle with these things too all the time. As for finishing a book, just keep doing it, and eventually you'll get there. And then you'll find that, you might only be doing a little bit each day, but it's like a muscle. Once it gets stronger, you can lift more. You'll write more. And I started off writing. That's a funny thing. You mentioned Chris Fox. He ties into the next part of my answer as well. But when I first saw Chris Fox back in 2016, 2017, he was doing a a challenge where he was trying to write one novel in so many weeks. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was 30 days, which is a big ask for anyone.
He writes crazy fast.
Yeah,
crazy fast.
There are quite a few authors these days who do that, and they do a good job of it too. But I mean, I think he was trying to push himself then. So back then, it wasn't something he was doing all the time. He was trying to level up. And me coming in as a new writer, I saw this and I was thinking, I'm going to do that. And I got like 2 days in, and I was like, and it put me off writing for a while. I got really discouraged. So it's important to not compare yourself to other people, especially people who have been doing this thing for X number of years. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who somebody else is today, is a saying I like. But yes, Chris Fox. That being said, if you want to learn a bit about the marketing side of things, also the craft, he has books on how to plot and on story structure, things along those lines. But I've learned an awful lot from him in terms of marketing, writing to market, learning ads. I think he's recently launched an ads course, or he's in the process of launching one. So, he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a long time. He's invested things in ads and yeah, these are things that people might look at them and they may be intimidated by it, like marketing, business, ads. It's like, what? I don't want to know anything about all that. But it's like the writing. Once you do a little bit at a time, you pick it up, and it's great though. So, I left the full-time IT job back in November, and I would never ever go back. Ever. It's just fantastic being able to do something you love all the time.
You know what?
That's amazing.
I'm gonna leave my job as well, and I'm gonna go write. Right, guys? Are you behind this?
Yes, go for it.
I was just about to
You know
say,
that this is called Anvil, right?
See, I was just about to say.
Don't go for it.
Which is when Paddy was saying, it's amazing what you can do if you just try and do a little bit every day. That's my experience in running a company.
Yeah,
I was an opera singer, right? I just
really?
Yes, I used to be an opera singer.
You're still
I don't sing very much anymore. I spend a lot of time doing financial reconciliations and talking to the tax people. But yeah, so I learned, it's possible. It's absolutely possible to learn all these things, and there are amazing. I said it again. Said my word. There are excellent resources online that you can learn things from, and Chris Fox is a great one for marketing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my other word.
Yeah.
Level 2 is hard, guys.
Yeah, so you guys definitely don't give up the day jobs, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Keep on slaving, people.
Yeah, it's definitely achievable. Like I said, it might seem overwhelming, and I know I said I left in November, and I'm making a fairly good living off it now. I'm making more than what I was in my IT job, and my IT career was pretty lucrative. So you can make a nice living. It's a lot of work. It isn't a get rich quick scheme. Some people do go into it thinking that, and I said I left my full-time job in November, but I've been writing every spare minute outside of my day job since 2016. The end of 2016, so 2.5, 3 years, kind of working, laying the foundation, building an audience. You don't even need to start out with novels. You can start out with a couple of short stories, stick them in a book, give it away for free, get email subscriptions that way. And then, once you have a novel or a novelette or novella or whatever it might be, you have someone you can aim that towards. You have traffic there. And you've built a relationship with people, and you're also building relationships with other authors in the community, which is essential. Writing at home all the time on your own can be a bit of a lonely affair. So having other people to chat to can help a lot. So
that's really cool.
I need these people.
Sorry?
I need these people too because I have the same problem. I'm coding all the time.
You're not
Yeah,
lonely.
my
I'm
computer's
here.
my best friend.
I'm helpful.
You're not helpful,
I come
wife.
in and help. Like by saying things like, "Do your ostriches have socks?" I'm very helpful.
And then
Very
concentration off the window.
So, final question before we cut to our audience questions. And audience, remember, you can ask questions by writing capital letters question and then your question and throwing that in the chat. What are you working on right now?
Oh, okay. Wow, you have to know the way you said if you're still alive. I know how that feels. I have a pre-order deadline next week for book 3 in the Galactic Sentinel series, so I'm sweating bullets trying to finish that. I'm trying to finish off some of the edits that came back, and then it still has to go through another proofread, so it's like and then I'm working on the Galactic Knight series. I write two, so I split my days up into halves. In the mornings it's myself and Brandon's work, so I try to do maybe 3,000 words of that, and then I go to the gym, and then the rest of the day is dedicated to my stuff, which is maybe, well, it could be 2,000 words to 4,000 words. It depends. But I mean, again, these are numbers that I've worked up towards for years. When I was starting out, I was only doing a couple of hundred a day. So I'm working on those projects, and I'm also doing an epic fantasy that I've outlined, but I don't think I can do it justice just yet. I've written a couple of chapters, but I'm thinking it might take me until sometime next summer, 2020, where I'll be comfortable with the product or with the story. It's a terrible thing about when you're writing as well for business. You tend to think in terms of the product as well. But I mean, there is a bit of a balance involved, and you want to write to market, but you also want to write what you enjoy and what you know that your readers are going to enjoy. So it's not as if it's this cold clinical thing where you don't enjoy the work. If you don't enjoy the work, then you shouldn't be doing it, really. So yeah, that's. Oh, and today I finally kicked off my YouTube channel, which I've been meaning to do for a year. So yay!
What's going to be on there?
So it's called Paddy Writes, and it's mainly going to be me talking about writing craft and how to craft a story, how to develop characters, how to plot, or how to discovery write if you're a discovery writer rather than a plotter. Also a little bit about the marketing, the business side. And I'm also thinking of adding a little bit of lifestyle into it and travel, and not just say, okay, here's my writing stuff, but here's my writing stuff and this is what my writing stuff allows me to do, or these are the other lifestyle things that I need to do in order to support the writing stuff. So it's all one big package. It's not just, I saw someone ask a question on Facebook the other day. It was, how do I fit writing into my life? And I said, well, how do I fit my life into my writing? Because when you're doing it for a living, it becomes your life, and it's a great life. I'm not complaining, but it doesn't encapsulate a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a question, didn't you?
I had a question before we go back to the questions for the people. What is behind you? Which of the projects you talked about is behind you?
Oh, this. I'm not sure. I did this a while ago. Oh, that's book 2, Enter the Shroud. Book 2 of the Galactic Sentinel series. So I used to do. This is the way I did the first and second book, and I did a lot of plotting. So this is. I have. We're talking about epic fantasy. My science fiction is kind of epic in scale as well. So my books are over 100,000 words long, which isn't that long in terms of, Brandon Sanderson's stuff is 300,000 plus. So 100,000. 100,000 it's long for sci-fi. But I have 3 characters, so this is like one main character, another one, and another one, just color coding everything. And I don't do it like that anymore. I developed a more streamlined process where I kind of could just, do it a lot faster. But that was a great method to learn story structure and teach myself different things about plotting. And then it's like anything else, you you have to invest a lot more time in the beginning, but then as you get more comfortable with the process, then you can streamline it and get faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So now it's an artifact. It's like a work of art. Yeah, it's like a memorial to the book's past kind of thing.
I've actually, I was thinking yesterday, I need to take it down. So I might take a picture of it or something, and then...
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's kind of cheerful. I like it. All right, we got some questions from our audience here. We have a question. How do you handle alpha and beta reader circles as a self-published author? Do you use writing circles as a tool or only share the load with co-authors? Now, I can't tell you who asked this question because my producer's not told me. But I know it was a very important person.
Well, it's a very important question, and it's a very good question. I wouldn't use writing circles with other authors. I know a lot of people do that. They like to get together with other authors once a week or once a month and share a little bit of their writing and get some feedback or constructive criticism. In self-publishing, that's not a big thing. There are people, I'm not saying no, people in self-publishing don't do it. There are Facebook groups, where people go in and do that. I found that a lot of the more successful authors don't do that. What I've learned, I guess, there's a bit of a principle involved, and that is, rather than asking other authors what they think of a story, you should ask readers what they think of a story, because other authors, they might have their own ideas about writing, and they might, know a lot of things and have a lot of advice, but they're not your audience. So they don't know, what they want isn't necessarily going to be what your readers want.
They come with their own baggage, I'm guessing as well. And also they don't know your own style, because
exactly.
From somebody who's a reader, I'm not a writer. I mean, you don't want to see anything I've written ever. But I think that when I'm especially on a series, when I'm saying a series of science fiction books, I want to have this tone. Like, I want to expect the way that it's written, and I want to expect the type of story and the pace I knew, and because I know of authors that wrote changed it in the middle, and I was like, that is not what I was reading anymore. I'm not feeling comfortable again reading.
It sort of becomes their work rather than your work. Then it's someone else's style and voice is creeping into it. And I'll give you a practical example of something. Like I write military science fiction and space opera, and I wasn't sure what to do about swearing in my books. So I sort of asked a lot of authors in different communities, and most of them said don't swear. So what I had done before I released my military science fiction is I built up over 2 years a fairly big mailing list using smaller short stories. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go and ask my readers to see what they say. And I came back like 85, 87%. You have to swear, because in military science fiction, and especially if you have a drill sergeant or something, it wouldn't make sense not to swear. So, the people said, other things like don't use the Lord's name in vain, which was very helpful because I wouldn't have thought of that. So I got feedback from my audience, my readers, and that was very helpful. As for beta readers, same thing. I asked my mailing list, does anyone want to beta read these stories for me? And I built a team of about 8 people, and I regularly send my work to them once I'm finished, and then they'll give me feedback. And sometimes they pick up typos and things like that. No matter how many times you get something proofread, there's always a couple of typos that still make their way through. So, and I know some authors use things like Facebook groups to manage their beta teams. I just email them directly because that's just a system I like. But there are different options for it.
That's really cool. Fantastic.
Really cool.
When did you know that... Sorry. Trying to read. When did you know when your writing went from being fun and casual to a more serious part of your life? This is a question from Uptown Boy 13.
Okay. Honest answer. I never felt that. And actually, I did, but About 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's recent.
So it's a new thing.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say there is you can't really wait for a feeling, because that feeling will never come. You have to chase the feeling, and it's almost like you can never wait for the perfect moment to start something. You need to take the risks and start it, and then eventually that thing will come, but you have to take the first step. It won't come to you. And I, honestly, when I was at the gym, it wasn't 2 weeks ago. It was the middle of April. So it was almost 2 weeks ago. But I was at the gym, and I was I was thinking about this epic fantasy that I'm writing, and a character popped into my head, and a scene. I had an idea about what this character was going to do, but a completely opposite thing popped into my head, and the character said, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this." And this was happening while I was lifting weights or something. And it sort of like dawned on me after. I was like, wow, I'm a writer now.
I'm a writer, and my own characters have their own voice, and they do what they want. So
they do what they want, and they're talking to me. Some people might want to put me in a hospital. You get all these the characters just talk to you, they say their own thing. It's like they have their own personalities, they become independent. And that's one of the most fun things about writing stories, is you're trying to tell the character what to do, and they give you the middle finger and say, nah, I'm going to go do this instead. And that's definitely one of the most enjoyable things.
So you see, for me that is terrifying, because since I was 3 years old, I'm lucid dreaming. Every dream I had is lucid. Every dream I have, not every, like 99% of my dreams are lucid, and I can control them, and I'm essentially writing and playing my own stories in my sleep. When I'm very tired, or if I'm woken up in the middle of the night and I go back to sleep, that switch is off. It's like, but I can still know what is happening. So it's the absolute loss of control for me. And sometimes the characters that I had necessarily telling them what to do in the first part of the dream, second part take over, and I'm like, I have no idea what is happening here.
So what we're learning here is that you're a control freak. Congratulations.
Yes, I think so.
Very well done. Jolly good. Spiffing. I think we have time for one more question. This question from Hefe. Swearing has been something I've been wondering about. Also describing gory scenes as a grey area. How does one handle these grey areas?
Again, ask your audience. I had a torture scene at the beginning of my second book, and I kind of, like, it's going to sound a bit strange, but I almost fainted while I was writing it. I do faint at the sight of blood sometimes. I don't know. I didn't always do that, but I had one of those things in my arm once when I was in the hospital, and it popped out and I fainted because there was blood. But anyway, I was writing this, and just I was so deep as I was writing it that it was like, oh, this is horrible. I would never normally write something like that, but just I was getting so into the scene, and I sort of took a step back and thought, wow, I mean, can I actually publish this? How is it going to be received? So I went and I did the same thing. I asked my audience, what will I, read this, and what do you think? I actually did a video on it, I think, and read it to them. And I got some really good feedback. I dialed it back a little bit, but I kept most of it, and it seemed to have been very well received. So
really cool, really cool. I think it's time to look at some daily feature articles. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm pretty sure that Paddy's yes, you take the mouse. I'm pretty sure that all of Paddy's links are now in the chat. So guys, absolutely go and check out his website where you can find all of his books. I happen to know that there is something that you can get there for free to read right now. So if you hop over there and sign up to his mailing list, you will get a free book which is called Paradox, I think.
Yeah, please be a Paradigm. Paradigm's the free one. Yeah, please be gentle. I wrote that, a few years back.
We always feel like that, though, as artists. Like, whatever field we're in, the work of 2 years ago is despicable, and you can't believe you thought that was good. And the new thing is the best thing, and it's shiny, and you love it, and you want to lick it, and it's glorious.
I don't think that many people want to lick it, but that is fine.
This cat does.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we go check out some articles?
Let's check out some articles. Where are we starting? This was featured by our incredible secondhand samurai.
Wait a minute, because I don't think they can see heirs, because... Yes.
I'm going to tell them about it while you put
Tell
it up
them
on the
about
screen.
it and I will take care of
What
it.
happens in Daplus stays in Daplus. X marks the spot in this article with a breathtakingly beautiful map. One of the principal floating islands of the Bastion Paracosm, this article is a great primer for this growingly detailed world. This article by Nevermore, and I can see some of Kaora's beautiful compasses in it as well.
Oh yeah, I want to see the map. Can we see the map, please?
You can see the map. Click on the map.
Because I remember something beautiful about this map.
Dimitri's world has flying islands, and he's completely obsessed with them.
What I love about this map is like, look, he put the background on the back, so you can actually round up all the background. Look at this.
So he's got the
you
stricken
can see the
sun.
whole universe.
Yeah.
You can see the island on the top, and the island has a hole. That's Daplus, actually. That's the location we're talking about. It's amazing, isn't it?
That's really badass.
I love it. Yeah,
That's
very good work.
really badass.
Excellent
Amazing
work.
choice secondhand, beautiful work, Nevermore. Our next featured article of the week was featured by Basic Dragon. It is the Introduction to Melior by... Actually, you should be choosing them, sorry. Introduction to Melior by TJ Truin, our very own. A world's raison d'etre is always fascinating to read about. Let's discover Meliors. So this is something that we've talked a lot about on World Anvil, which is writing an introduction article
Indeed.
to help people know what is important in your world.
Secret things!
To like guide people as the tone, as the genre, what can they expect, a little bit about you. I can see that TJ's put about the author there, which is a great
I love the idea of the
idea.
create and disclaimer for the introduction article, indeed. Because I think that TJ is somebody who really studied how other people did introduction articles
Absolutely.
before he
I
did
think
it.
of him as a World Anvil pro.
And yeah, but he created, I think, 3-4 worlds right now.
Yeah, he did.
And exponentially, his introductions became better and better, and he took learnings from the best we have in the community when it comes to introduction articles. And yeah, it really works it. Congratulations, TJ. Really good work, bud.
Beautiful and nice find, Basic Dragon. The next article was featured by a fluffy-faced lunatic
Oh, it's me. It's the Darvik Cosmology.
by
Yeah.
the name of Dimitris.
I love that a lot. That is from Spyglass's Fantasy World.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. I love it a lot.
Tell us about it.
Well, it is literally about dwarves, but I love it a lot. It is a cosmology of the dwarves, how they see the world, how they are separated. It has a little bit of conlang in there, but without going very deeply, because I love that. This is the kind of conlang I love. It is not in your face. It's a little bit. It gives you the genre. It gives you the flavor without going into the very much detail. I mean, there is place for deep conlang,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
but I find that
It's
sometimes
a lot
can be
of work.
overwhelming. Exactly.
And sometimes it's diminishing returns. If you really want to do it, absolutely. I would never tell somebody to not do it online, but don't think you have to. Don't think you're obliged to. And
Yes.
know that it's an awful lot of work.
Oh my
It is
gosh,
an art
yes.
in itself.
Indeed.
Let's go on to... Nice find, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's go on to the article that Ondo chose. This is Runar's Blade by Endeavours. Ooh, pretty. He's used Vertixico covers as well.
Yes.
This is cover up by Vertixico. Incidentally, you can find his Patreon if you search for Vertixico Patreon, and you can buy packets of them, all themed, and they are all beautiful. Vertixico is also very good at counting our naughty words that we're not supposed to be saying.
Yes.
So, Runar's Blade by Enrise. Gather around the anvil to read about Runar and his determination to recreate the infamous Hexblade weapon. Delving into this article will make you want to know more about the realm of Fabulae. Nice.
Fabulous.
Fabulae. It is fabulous. Very nice CSS instead.
Really nice, yes, indeed.
Legendary Dragon has picked an article by Dylan.
Making time work in Expedition Demeter. Oh, that's interesting. Expedition Demeter is a very interesting world.
So, in a world where time and space can be bent, how do you tell time?
It's a very good question.
Let's have a look at this article. Beautiful use of tables there. Look at that.
That's a big table.
It is a great big table.
But Dillian, I haven't read this article, but I will definitely read it. That's a very interesting subject to explore.
Really nice.
Very well done. Nice.
Very nice job. I saw the word Pathfinders as well. I want in.
Janet is in.
I love the Pathfinders.
Yeah.
I want to go be a Pathfinder archaeologist. You know my lesbian dungeon crawl has archaeologists in it.
What? Oh, yes.
The short story I'm writing
Yes,
right now.
sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Let's continue.
I have to stop calling it that. It's actually very dramatic and grim and horrible. But It sounds like a kind of gay Buffy the Vampire Slayer right now, but it's really not at all.
Let's continue.
Okay, Sai has chosen as the final featured article of the week, the Tower of Judgment.
That's a lot of tower.
It judges you. That is an awful lot of tower. Somebody has something to prove. This towering behemoth was built to be the center of all power. They had to prove how tall they could build. I don't know what your mind was doing. I was talking about structure. Only. Definitely that. Yes, this towering behemoth was built to be the centre of all power for the dominion of one government and one mysterious overseer.
I want to click that.
Though an immense wonder above the clouds, many secrets also lie beneath.
Interesting. I'm guessing this is coming from Tower of Power and the competition.
I would think so. We ran out of competition in February about creating the Tower of Power within your world, and this definitely looks like it could be one of those.
Nice.
Beautiful job.
Beautiful job, indeed.
Absolutely stunning.
I want to click on the spoiler, but that should... Because we're live and people might not
Right,
want
we're live, and you'll show people the spoiler that they don't want to see because they'll be spoiled.
Let's go
That's
up
an
the tower.
awful lot of tower.
Yeah, and that's not even half the tower.
No,
It's
that's
like
that's just the bottom
That's
bit.
a lot of tower. Right, I think that these are all the articles. We have some really beautiful articles this time around.
I think so.
I mean, we always do, but...
So, would you like to hear about the colony challenge?
Always.
Because you're not going to. The results of the colony challenge will be announced next week. Not renounced, announced. I'm quite tired. They will be announced in War, which goes live after this stream next week.
Oh, yes.
So we go live at 8 o'clock BST. War goes live directly after this stream, BST. And Baron will be with you, the Master of Games, to announce the winners of the previous competition and to launch the new competition. So guys, if you want to be the first to find out what that competition is, if you want to get a head start on the competition and find out how you can win exciting things like being featured everywhere and glory and exciting badges, then absolutely you should check out War. I just said my word again. Cheers. And it's gonna be awesome.
I think I'm gonna win just because I wasn't talking too much today, but...
I think so too. I talked a lot. I did it. So guys, tune in next week for our
announcement of next competition.
I went full dolphin. Tune in next week for the announcement of the exploration competition.
Sounds exciting. I would like to write that article.
Do you know who I'm interviewing tomorrow? I'm interviewing an ex-NASA engineer.
Oh my god, yes.
Who is now a marine archaeologist. I am so excited. I have known this man quite a long time. I am very excited to pick his brain on the topic of exploration. He is fascinating. If you would like to tune in, that will be going live at 8 o'clock tomorrow. And we'll be talking exploration, and you can ask a rocket scientist questions.
How often do you get to ask a rocket scientist and a marine archaeologist question with being...
from the same man.
From the same man,
Same man. I'll also tell you this one.
Also, he's a metal dude, like
he
complete
is a metalhead,
complete metalhead, yeah.
He also kidnapped Donald Duck, but I shan't tell you any more about that.
I don't think you should.
I won't tell you any more about that, but he did kidnap Donald Duck.
He did. Like, it's not like a joke. It's like he actually kidnapped Donald Duck, but yeah.
So that happened. And of course, next week we'll be going live with the Mistress of Maps, Devon Rue. We will be talking about exploration and map making. So that's going to be incredibly exciting. I have got good guests this month for you.
Hopefully, I'll be there to see them as well.
I hope so. Do you think you're going to die from Project H overload?
We'll see.
We are going to spend the first 3 days in June sitting on the couch in our pajamas with blankets over our heads like this. Oh man, it's got crazy. Alright, I think it's time to unraffle that raffle that's been raffling with the raffles.
Let's see who won then, guys. So, I'll give them 15 more seconds.
Yeah.
So, exclamation mark raffle, guys, if you want to be one, actually the one.
The only
lucky one winner that will be joining the rest of the internal team into testing Project H tomorrow.
Alright. So they've just heard it. Or Virtue's just heard it, which means the lag is cycling.
It will take some time. It's cycling.
That's my lag cycling.
What do you say the thank yous?
I will say some thank yous. I would like to thank everybody who has joined us today. I would like to extra thank everybody who has asked questions Very nice. They're very interesting
Very
questions.
good questions.
I'm sorry we couldn't answer them all. I would like to extra super thank Paddy. Thank you so much for
Paddy,
joining
it
us.
was really amazing to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been
I feel really insignificant after seeing those articles now, so I have to go and up my game on World Anvil.
It's hilarious.
You know what, Paddy? The Finley game's mutual. Every time I see articles of World, I'm like, I built this thing and I have no idea how to do half of the things these people are doing.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I figured out when we made World Anvil and let it live is when you give creative tools to creative people, magic things happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just extraordinary.
It's extraordinary, yeah. And that's why we have the Discord community, because people are so happy to help each other and grow, and this is the beauty.
So if you want to go and ask questions from people, they'll help you out, because that's what our community is. Like, everybody just really supports everybody else. It's beautiful.
You're amazing people. We love you very, very much.
Amazing! Killian wins!
I did it. I made you say your word.
You sneaky little snick! Why don't you go pick the winner, and then I'll put this teapot in your ear. Spyglass rounds!
Spyglass, congratulations!
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Apparently you are joining us tomorrow.
You are the chosen one. Written in the stars. In very big letters, I assume.
I will be messaging you tomorrow morning after everything is ready.
Congratulations. My document disappeared. No, it didn't. We're fine. Good. I would like to thank everybody who is listening on the Discord via the Twitch bot. Nice job. If you need to leave during any of our streams, they all go via the Twitch bot to our Discord. So you can just listen in on the Discord. You don't have to see our silly faces. Also an option. I would like to give a special thanks to our producers, Ondo and Secondhand Samurai, I have seen in here.
I have seen BD as well helping.
And BD! Basic Dragon. Now let's jump to this channel so I can thank all the people who've been showing the love. Thank you so much to For the Bits, the ever-present, ever-awesome Basic Dragon. Thank you, Miller Diamond, and thank you, Baron. Thank you so much for the subs, Delian and Secondhand. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you for the follows, Blobby Dog, Sudaj, the Broke Gamer, Shadow Malachi, Borbinson, and Troll Lord Games. We bow to you. Thank you for the hosts, Hosted Radio and Aegon TV. Roll Society, great to have you
Thank you very
here.
much, Roll Society.
We are going on a raid.
What are we raiding today?
Our raid shout is Light Up the Forge, and we are raiding We Are Nerdsmith.
Ooh,
Uh-huh.
what did the guys do today?
I
They're
do not
here.
know.
What are you doing, guys,
What are you
today?
doing, guys?
Let us know.
Tell us. We're going to sit here silently and stare at the screen.
Why don't you sing the raid song?
I'm not going to sing the raid song.
Janet wrote a raid song. It's
wrote a raid
hilarious.
song.
It is
There's a
really,
raid
really,
song?
really hilarious.
It starts out fairly normal, and then it just gets sillier and sillier and sillier. Kind of like us, and this stream, and all the good things.
Pretty
And
much.
ostrich socks.
Okay, shall we go?
I think it's time. Guys, thank you so much. Paddy, thank you so much.
We'll see you soon again. That's for sure. It's not a question. We love you very much.
Do you know what we need to do?